every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hello, welcome. My name is Joey, and I am the host of the new Money in the Military show. And you might be asking, why are you qualified to teach a show on military money? Well, I was in the Air Force for 14 years. I paid off $20,000 in debt as an E3 when I first came in. And then I amassed a six-figure net worth within 6 years. And then I became really passionate about finance, and I just would talk about it to anyone who would listen or not listen. So I just became the annoying finance guy in the shop. But I've since become a financial social worker, and now I'm passionate about using my platform and my voice to help military members and their families and veterans with their finances. So that's the hope of this show. It's going to be interactive, it's going to be fun. We're going to be on Reddit and Discord and things like that, and we're just going to, we're going to highlight successful veterans. We're going to talk about, issues that are relevant to you. It's going to be crowdsourced, so whatever you guys want to talk about, that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm really excited about this project. I'm looking forward to engaging with you. If you have any questions or concerns, or just let me know, find me out. I'm all over the social medias as a fire social worker. And we'll start a relationship together and hopefully build a community of successful military members with their finances. Thank you for your time.
And we're live. Hello. Welcome to MBR, where we're giving veterans a voice. My name is Joey. I am the fire social worker. This is Money in the Military. And I'm really excited to be here. I got Big Grizz in the background on the ones and twos, running the sound check. How's things in Big Grizz land today?
Oh, peachy.
Good to hear. I'm glad to have you. So yeah, we're going to be talking to a active duty Navy guy named RG Enzon. We're waiting on him to show up, but just in the meantime, just wanted to say hey and talk to you guys. Just give you some quick updates of some things that we got going on in the pipeline. So on I believe it's a couple weeks from now, I got David Perret, I believe his name is, from Military to Millionaire. I struggle with that a little bit, but yeah. So he's got a YouTube channel, and he's all about using real estate investments for active duty. So while you're active, he's got a lot of great YouTube videos out there. And we've got some really great topics to discuss, because obviously I'm not active duty, but I would be curious to know and learn more about real estate investment from his perspective, because he talks about the full spectrum. He doesn't just focus on active duty. He will actually talk to people who are veterans and things like that. So excited to have him on the show. I also have scheduled another certified financial social worker who is also active duty, and really interesting. I think he might be Guard or Reserve, but Matthew Rich, we connected on LinkedIn, and just curious to pick his brain, because he's wearing multiple hats. He's a social worker. He's a certified financial social worker. and he's just he's got a really interesting story. So those are some on the horizon interviews that we got scheduled, which is really exciting. And if there are any, I've got a few other people that are interested, but we haven't ironed anything out just yet. But if you're interested in being featured as a guest, by all means, let me know. You can hit me up on all the different social media platforms as a fire social worker. So yeah, that's really exciting. I'm hoping to have some great conversations with some of these military members, veterans, pick their brains, because a lot of these are pretty successful people. And I've been kind of picking them strategically because, I want to show the military community what are some good success stories. What can they emulate from these people who have done, great things or in the middle of doing great things. So I know RG is active for over 10 years now, I think, and he's got a successful side business. So yeah, we're gonna pick his brain and just see what lessons we can glean from his experience. So I'm really excited about that conversation. So yeah, I guess to kind of start off the show while we're waiting on RG. So Big Grizz, I'm curious to kind of pick your brain a little bit and ask, maybe what is one of the biggest financial mistakes you made while you were active duty?
Oh wow. Man, you're going back in some time there. Yeah, you're taking
Yeah.
me back 20 some years. um
Not to put you on the spot. I'm just curious because I like to hear
Well,
people's their
I never
stories.
bought a new car or did anything like that.
Yeah.
I enlisted, and honestly, I wouldn't say I was bad with money because I was married right away and I had kids, so I really didn't have a choice.
Right.
I think it was just spending aimlessly on whatever I wanted.
Okay.
It wasn't, I was young. I didn't have my parents there to tell me what to do. So I lived in the barracks. So it was just money every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think it was more on just partying and being stupid and happy. And then I got married, and that kind of takes your money. You don't really have a choice in that fact.
Right. So you didn't buy the Dodge Charger at 20% interest or anything like that, right?
Nothing. No.
Not to throw shade on anyone who has a 20% interest Dodge
But
Charger,
let's be real. A private in the military is going to have some sort of car like that. For some reason, they think it makes them look good, and it is what it is.
Yeah. And then like a couple months later, they're talking to their supervisor, their first sergeant, and they're like, "Yeah, I can't make.
I don't have
bills,
any money. I can't make my insurance payment." Oh yeah, I had that happen all the time.
Yeah, when I was active, I was volunteering with the Airman Family Readiness Center to kind of help veterans or help military members, with their finances. And there was a guy who came in and he had bought a Harley, and this was a E3, I think, living in the dorms. He had a car as well, and he was very adamant about, like, even though the interest rate was crazy, he basically he threaded the needle with his finances and got approved for a loan that basically he was able to cover evenly with his pay. But then after a few months, yeah, he came to the Airman Family Readiness Center and was like, "Yeah, I can't make these bills work for me." But he didn't want to give up the vehicle. He wanted to hold on to the vehicle, and basically he didn't want to give it up, So it was just really interesting, like, even though he was in dire financial straits, he didn't want to just accept that he needed to get rid of the Harley,
I got no choice on that aspect.
Yeah. So some people are stubborn.
I just spent money stupidly.
Yeah.
I wasn't smart. I was a kid that had money with no parents around.
Right. Yeah. So, were there, when you went into and granted, yeah, when did you go into basic or go into the service?
I enlisted in the delayed entry program in '99, and I went to basic the fall of 2000.
Okay. Wow.
Or
So
the
yeah,
winter.
like they didn't really have a lot of financial education stuff, did they?
No,
Back then.
no,
no,
none.
no financial literacy programs, or probably not even very
No.
many financial counselors or anything.
No, it was don't spend your money stupid. Okay, well, you're telling a bunch of kids that, have nothing else to do but have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have to worry about a place to sleep, didn't have to worry about buying food, didn't have to worry about any of that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's where I would like to try to like get into the mindset of those young military members while they're active duty. I'm wanting to reach them while they're really at that really pivotal stage where you could really, if you can get into their minds and change their dynamic around finances at that young age. Oh man, we would have so many like future millionaire military millionaires basically. Yeah, I guess that's part of my mission here, is to try to reach, because I mean, they're active members that listen to MBR, so there could be somebody in the deployment right now at a porta potty listening to this show, which was kind of a funny thing to think about, but
It is. My deployments, we can do none of that. We didn't have phones.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean, cell phones were just now turned into a big thing. They didn't even have smartphones when I went my first deployment. It was still those old Blueberry or Blackberry phones or whatever they were called.
Yeah, the old BlackBerry era. That was an interesting time for sure. Everyone was all about the Blackberries, but I wasn't. But yeah, so
the Nextel flip phone that was a walkie-talkie. Yeah. That was what I had.
Oh yeah, I remember those. Those were really cool. Yeah. Yeah. We're showing our age a little bit here, because everyone nowadays just knows smartphones as their phone.
And that's a downfall money-wise for people. Always got to have the new phone when your phone works just fine.
Yeah. That lifestyle creep is real for a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, so you got any stories that or any examples of what you did see when people were making poor decisions financially?
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a private. I had just got my E5, or I was an E5P. I was up at Fort Lewis, and I had a new E2 that came in. And as soon as he got to the unit, he signed in, realized he was in the barracks, this and that. He went and did one of those, I'm going to buy a really fast car and spend, $1,200 monthly payments, plus having to have full coverage, and didn't know how to make it, to where he actually started losing, like was going downhill. And we had to basically turn his car in for him just to get his head right.
Yeah. That's
That's the one thing that I seen that was like,
you had to have a financial intervention with him, huh?
Pretty much, which was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely something that you don't think you're going to have to do in the military, but you get up in rank enough, or even your peers. I've had to kind of like in a friendly manner, like say, hey, maybe you cut back on that a little bit. I mean, but people don't like to hear that, so it's a tricky balance there. But but yeah,
so
fun talking about money.
Why don't we take a commercial break, and we'll bring up your interview of the week?
Okay, yeah. So we got RG's in the studio waiting on him, and then we'll I want to feature Noah Peterson. He's a jazz musician, a USMC veteran. So that's what we're gonna play.
Okay.
opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Interview of the week sponsored by LTD Tactical.
Okay.
Hello.
Hang on a second. I had to move. Dang it.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, I got it going right now.
All right. Looks like we are back. Are we back?
Yep.
Okay. Hey, everybody. We're back. This is Money in the Military. This is Joey, the fire social worker. I have RG Enzon, which I have to say is a really awesome name. I was thinking that you could be like, I don't know, that's like a Power Ranger name or something. It's just really cool. But we've been chatting for a while, and I just I'm really happy to have you on the show. Yeah, so thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So if you want, like, we can kind of jump into a quick intro, because I know you've done some podcasts already. I was actually listening to your one of your first podcasts, which was Fighting for Freedom podcast. Is that right?
Yep, that was the first one.
Yeah. First one. Okay. And now you're on like number 18, 19, 20-ish or something like that. I saw on your Facebook. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So your goal is 100 podcast appearances, right?
Yep.
That's awesome, man.
It's a lot of work.
Tell us. Yeah, it is. It is. But you're getting on some interesting shows. I have to give you some credit. That's pretty cool. So yeah, real quick, let's just give a little bit of a background of your your military experience. I know you're still active duty, right? Yeah, if you would just tell us a little bit about your background.
Awesome. Name's RG Enzon, originally born and raised from the Philippines. Still active duty military in the Navy, stationed in California, and on this side, myself and my wife, we built our own business together about 2 years ago. And also I own a digital marketing agency called Enzon Media. And essentially we help small business owners build up their online and digital presence through web design, local SEO, reputation management, and what have you. And ultimately the goal is to help about 10,000 small business owners, get them to essentially get their footing on the online digital space.
Wow. And you're doing all this while managing being active duty, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is your side hustle, but it seems like it's doing really well, right? I mean, you're doing you're doing good business, and I found you on, I think, a Facebook Veterans to Business page or something like that. But yeah, you're definitely out there, and I give you credit for doing the hustle. I guess with your this is Money in the Military, so obviously we're going to be talking about your financial journey a little bit. But what would you say is your right out the gate bit of financial advice for active duty military members right now?
I think it's more about learning how to move your money. Because we hear it a lot, right? Like we keep hearing, like save your paycheck and all that stuff. But nowadays, I feel like saving is not enough. You need to learn how to move it, meaning you need to learn where to allocate it, when to start spending it on things, or like when to not do anything with it. Or like, I guess, like diversifying it. And honestly, like to me, it's more of like, instead of just like putting it on like a regular CD, your 401k or whatever, I think using that to, I don't know, like fuel your business or like your passion and all that stuff, without obviously getting into bankruptcy or anything like that, I think that would be like my advice.
Yeah. So for those who aren't doing the side hustle, and they're just managing, let's say they're a single income family, with, 2 or 3 kids and managing, their finances that way. Let's say they can't do a side hustle. Is there any tips that you've seen or anything that you've seen when you're active, like, some good financial habits that you've seen if you're a single income military member?
It's a good question because nowadays it's very tough if like you have a single income family, especially
Yeah.
with kids. I think if you don't have a side hustle, but also if you're more geared into like building kind of like a different stream of income without actually building up your business, um, I think for me it's more of like finding something that you're passionate with that you can literally talk about for hours without
Mm,
like without you practicing and all that stuff, and then engage with your spouse, and maybe you guys can tag team together and maybe like sell it to like your own set of network, because
yeah.
like for single income family, it's tough because like every dollar is essentially allocated. But if you're a single income family, you're essentially one step away from poverty, because like
Mm,
if you are if you don't have that job, what's gonna feed your family? So to me, my mentality is more of how do you get to having multiple streams of income? And it doesn't mean like build a side hustle as in like a business, but you can go through something like affiliate marketing, for example. So like you can you can promote the products that you're interested with, or like what's working for you within your family, and then go from there.
yeah. Okay. Did you have, like, when you started your business, did you have to like disclose that to your command or anything like that? Or can anyone just start up a business while they're active duty? Do you know?
It's a good question because in the Navy there's an instruction based on the milpersman that essentially if you're very much like doing like I don't know, like a second job or whatever you do, you need to disclose it because it needs to have something of meaning. And what I mean by that is like it needs to have some kind of like good um good, I guess, like good face that shows the Navy that like
Right.
it's not against like what the Navy is about, for example. Um, but yeah, like I think for mine specifically, I started with not really, you know, doing any of that because like at first it was all of just like me, very being very curious about like the business and like marketing, psychology, and all that stuff.
Mhm. All right. So if you were to give somebody some advice, if they were wanting to start a business like you've done, where would you recommend they start? Just with their passion or a hobby, or do you think they should be more strategic and find something that's trending?
Um, so we hear a lot, because when you're starting off, like the the message that's out there is like but I actually read the book. I forgot the name of the book, but essentially, like the message of the book is that instead of finding something that you're passionate about, why don't you start something where you're good at? Because
Okay.
like having a passion towards something versus what you're already good at, that's two different things. Because like
Mm,
for example, so when I joined, basically my degree is in IT, so I'm good with computers.
right.
Let's say. I'm not saying I'm good with computers. It's more of an example. But
Yeah.
if I'm good with computers, that should have been my passion. But
Mm.
and like that should have been the business that I've done. But because so my job in the Navy is essentially kind of like HR, payroll, and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So I didn't get the job that I wanted when I first joined, which was IT naturally.
Okay. Yeah.
But since since I keep doing it, and because I'm building a network out of this rating, or
Mm.
MOS, then I started using that because I got the experience with it into starting a digital marketing business, for example. Because so what I mean by that is like in so my job is a PS, right? So as a PS, you don't necessarily need to be good at computers, but you need to, I guess, be pretty good with like paperwork. But as an IT person, you don't necessarily need to be good at paperwork, but you need to be good at computers. So I
Okay.
didn't go for like what I'm passionate about, but I went for the one that I'm good at, and then essentially, because I kept doing it, and I keep getting small wins from like, like kind of like little victories that you get through your journey, and it basically became my passion.
Okay.
So yeah, because like if I did IT, my passion should have been like, all right, well, I want to keep fixing computers.
Hmm.
Instead of like, I want to produce results for this kind of client because I'm good with digital marketing stuff.
Hmm. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's cool. I appreciate you responding that way because, like, yeah, I'm just curious. If you were to start from scratch, how would you do that? But we actually got to take a quick break, and then we'll jump back in with RG here in a little bit. All right. Just stand by.
opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, we're back. Money in the Military. This is MBR Radio, giving veterans a voice. We got RG Enzon here, active duty Navy, entrepreneur. He wears many hats, but we've just been talking about his financial journey. So one thing I was curious about, and me and Big Riz were talking about this earlier, but do you have any good examples of maybe some personal financial decisions, like either positive or negative? Is there anything that you've done that you feel like it's been really impactful in your finances since you've been active duty?
Yeah, I think I guess like learning about credit scores, because I wasn't born and raised here. I actually
Right.
got into the US before I turned 18. So I was already kind of like pretty old compared to like, like other people when they get to the US.
Yeah.
And then essentially when I joined the Navy, like I didn't have a credit card or anything like that. So there's really no credit score that I'm building off of,
Right.
so it's essentially zero credit. It's not even bad credit. It's zero credit.
Yeah.
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 So I think what really helped me with like my credit scores and all this stuff, like achieving in the 800s. I think that's kind of like every American's dream and what have you. But I
Yeah.
think what really helped is one, like not spending more than what you earn. I think that's very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two is it's kind of funny, but like actually applying to a lot of credit cards. And it doesn't mean that you're using all of it. It just
Mm.
means on your credit score, one of the breakdowns there is like your credit card utilization. And I'm sure you know more about this, but I think it covers a pretty substantial amount of your credit score percentage, right? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. So to me, what really helped is that I personally have about 13 credit cards, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not spending a lot of money on all of those stuff. But what I'm doing is that I'm essentially just keeping it all active, and I keep at first I kept asking for a credit card limit increase for each of
Mm-hmm.
them until I reach the peak. And then that ultimately helped with your credit score because you're even like even if you have like I don't know like a $10,000 debt, for example, which obviously nobody would recommend to have, um,
Right.
your credit card utilization is not like 80% of your total credit score. I mean, sorry, your
Right.
total credit limit.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I think I'm at almost $200,000 in credit limit. But like
Nice.
if my debt is only like 800, that doesn't
Mhm.
affect anything.
Right. Yeah. So
So
could you break that down a little bit for people who maybe don't really know, the lingo of credit scores? How would you describe like the credit? You kind of broke it down, but like, what would you say is, if you were explaining this to an 18-year-old, like how would you best describe it?
yeah, so let's say you have a Credit Karma account, right? Or like any other credit score tracking app that you may have, or like even your bank would have like a free tool like that. But let's just say you have a Credit Karma account, and then you look at your TransUnion versus your Equifax number, and then if you go and click on that credit score, you can kind of like see the breakdown. So I'm pulling it up right now, but one of the credit factors is like payment history. You obviously cannot miss your payments, otherwise
Yeah.
that negatively affects your score. Derogatory remarks, credit age, total accounts, any hard inquiries, and then your credit card usage. So what I was touching on earlier was credit card usage. So let's say you have 10 credit cards, but like the limit of it is limit of like those 10 credit cards in total is like 5,000. But
Mm-hmm.
oh, let's say a total of 2,000 across all those cards. Then it may seem low, but also on the credit score world, it's more of it's already a 40% utilization, which what's recommended out there is 10%, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
something. But
Yeah.
to me, what I've seen is that if you want to get to the 800s and whatnot, you need to be under 3% of that total card utilization. And
Mm.
also, let's say you have 10 different cards, and then you're planning to do a big purchase. Don't use the card with the least limit because it also affects it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're gonna want to make sure you pick the card with the most limit. That way, it doesn't affect the utilization score for that credit card and also across your total.
Mm. Okay. So let's go back a little bit because you answered the question like what was the best thing that you've done or a good financial decision. So can you explain to us a little bit about what has been the positive impacts of managing your credit score well?
Um, I think you open up a lot of possibilities. So like if you're like trying to finance a car, if you're trying
Mhm.
to get your home and all that stuff, it helps as far as like the interest rates that they give you. So my first car, because I watch my credit score um very closely. I think like
Mhm.
it was like at 0% of interest.
Yeah.
So essentially they were loaning they were letting me get a loan, but over like I think it was like a span of 3 years, but I'm
Mhm.
not paying no interest with it. And then same thing for like um houses and all that stuff, like instead of you getting like the normal average rate, and like through VA loan, for example, you get a little bit lower because you're in the military, but you can
Yeah.
bump it down a little bit more lower if your credit score is on the upside.
Right. So ultimately, you're going to be saving you lots of money in the long run because your
Yeah,
interest rates are going to be lower. Your payments are going to be lower. You're going to be able to pay off your debts faster. Like the car loans and the home loans. So there's a lot of great benefits to managing your credit properly. And so that would be a great lesson that I would try to instill, especially in the younger military members. If you're active duty or if you're thinking about joining, then you want to set your financial footing like solidly, and that's one of the things that you want to do is really focus on your credit and building your credit. Because I know a lot of 18, 17 year olds, they were in your situation where they literally had no credit history, so how are you supposed to build credit when you don't have a history and you can't get approved for something? So um, one thing that I definitely would encourage people to look into if they're building their credit is getting a secured credit card. So that way, so basically what that is you basically create your own line of credit with your own money. So maybe you do like $200 into a savings account or on an account, and then they use that as leverage to basically back that secured card, and then you use that $200 limit and pay it off responsibly just like you would a normal credit card, because it is a credit card. It's just secured by your own money, and then you use that. You pay bills. You get that positive momentum going, and then you build your credit, and then eventually you can apply for an unsecured credit card, and then start building your credit that way, managing your credit. So yeah, I mean it's a process, and it's frustrating, I know, for a lot of young people. They're like, man, how am I supposed to get a car loan if I can't even establish credit? So yeah, it's definitely something that I think every person should take more seriously, is managing their credit score, managing their credit in general. I did a whole video on it on my Facebook page. But yeah, like it's a great example of good sound financial habits that not just military members but everyone should be doing. Honestly, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Well, let's see. We got a few more minutes before our next break. What about any financial regrets or mistakes that you've made in service? Because it sounds like you're doing pretty well, but is there anything you did early in your career that you regret?
Oh yeah. I think because I was into gaming. I
Mm.
still am, but like I'm not playing anymore. But when I
Oh,
used to
okay.
play games, oh my god, like I spent like a lot of money with
Yeah.
online gaming. Um,
Okay.
so I guess like setting setting I guess like a budget for when like like whatever kind of like hobby do you have, set a budget because like when I was like into gaming, and it's crazy because like it's not even like a PS5 game, a PC game. It's
Mhm.
literally just a game on my mobile phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Those are
and then
sneaky, man.
it's
They get you.
yeah, and then like like cause like all you gotta do is just face ID, and then it swipes already.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
so. I think like that was like one of my biggest mistake with money because I wasn't watching it back then. Um, I think like I was like just getting too comfortable on
Mm.
the wrong things, and
Yeah.
like if we put a number to it, I want to say, yeah, I think I spent like 30 grand on online gaming.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
um, and
I
that's
wasn't
like
expecting that number. That's a big number,
yeah,
but
yeah, and yeah, that was like, and that's within the span of like 2 years.
mm,
So
wow.
I had to like like really get myself to break off that habit. Because
So
like it
how
gets
did you do
really
that? I'm just curious, how did you break that habit? Because that sounds pretty intense.
it's kind of like when you're like an addict, I guess. Like I've never been like an alcoholic or into
Uh-huh.
drugs or anything, but
Yeah.
like it's kind of like when you're addicted to something. I mean, you were,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
you get into relapse really, because
Mm.
I tried to like delete the game, for example, and then I would just
Mhm.
end up installing it back up,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then um and then eventually I quit, but that was like kind of like this toxic cycle of going back to that kind of
Mm.
like addiction. And
Yeah.
I think it was just more of like, because like I'm a pretty conscious person when like things are like really in front of me.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know what I was doing, but there was like this one day I was just on my phone, and then I checked my card balance.
Mm.
And then I was checking my email, and I was like, and then like I was like, wait a minute, like what are these purchases? And then like
Mhm.
I think that was like the wake up call, because like at first I was like, oh, like I always spent like 500 bucks. Okay, whatever, I
Mhm.
can pay that.
Yeah.
But then it adds up. And then
Yeah.
like I think that was just like just facing the honest truth that like, hey, look, um like you're in the military, you won't be able to afford this. So I think like I'm also grateful that like I have like a side hustle, because like if
Okay.
not, like that would have been like, oh my god, so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
Yeah.
I think like getting that kind of like visibility on like your bank
Mm.
account, your credit card statements, and all that stuff, um, on your face, not to add stress to you, but just to give you an honest, like mirror of like your financial health. I
Mm.
think that's what really helped me, because if I wasn't looking, like
Yeah.
I would probably have just kept going.
Right.
And obviously, like if you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, spouse, or um, who's out there for you, supporting you, encourage them to be honest with you. Um,
Yes.
because if you guys are not having honest conversations, you're not gonna get to what you guys need to do. So I think that's
Mm.
like very big thing for me, because my wife is very honest. And then she gave me like, like the talk. I mean, she gave it to me like a couple of times
Yeah.
throughout those 2 years, but my brain was not functioning right, I guess, like I was just into gaming. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Wow. That's a great cautionary tale, lesson learned. I appreciate you being honest and transparent about that. That's I think a lot of people can resonate with that story and that cycle, So yeah, thank you for sharing. And so we're gonna jump into another quick break, and then we will be back with RG Enzon. All
Awesome.
right.
She needs a little whiskey to sing the blues. It strips her down and she speaks the truth. Her anthem rings in quiet rooms, filled with smoke and day-old bruising. Takes all she's got to be. Don't matter anymore. Trying to paint to make it through. All she ever wanted was love, not war. And now all that remains is this spinning road. Hear the beat. She's not giving up. Steady rhythm set apart. A marching drum for hope and scars. The meek and mild turn to stone. Protection from unending storms. And when the moment comes to call, so strike up a road and it all to the cause she had to be with you. She loved you, but love don't matter anymore. Drowned her pain to make it through. All she ever wanted was your love, not a war. And now all that remains is getting over you. Took all she had to be with you. She loved you, but love don't matter anymore. Drowned her pain to make it through. All she ever wanted was your love, not a war. And now all that remains is getting over you. All that remains is getting
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, MB Radio, we are back, giving veterans a voice. My name is Joey. I'm the fire social worker. This is Money in the Military, and I have RG Enzon on the other line here, and we're just talking about RG's experience as an active duty member, running a business on the side. So I did want to I mean, I guess technically I'm in the side hustle right now where I actually just found out today that I have my LLC was approved. So that's something that I'm excited about. It's been in the works for a while, but so yeah, like I'm trying to start a legit business with this whole stuff. So what, if you were to start your, or I guess what would you if you were to give me some financial entrepreneurial advice, what would you recommend to get started?
Oh man. I think the very best thing is learning how to sell. Because
Okay.
we can have all of those skills, we can have all of this, because like when I started, like I was into like building the LLC, because that's literally like the concept of like getting that stamp, like, hey, I'm an official business because I have an
Right.
LLC,
Yeah. Yeah.
and all that stuff. But like it's not a business until you close deals, and
Right.
it's and like, and deals doesn't mean you're like doing door to door and all that stuff. You're not doing like slimy kind of like marketing and what have you. um but it's more of like getting your first dollar, because like
Mm.
um I'm in California, and like LLCs in California, for example, right? um Even if you don't make money with your LLC, guess how much you're gonna pay? $800 in a year,
Wow.
regardless of
Okay.
you making money or not. So I think it's very important that you know how to sell, and like you identify what's like the actual problems that your customers or prospects are experiencing. Um, Package shop content, for example, because I know you're doing the fire social worker stuff, and we talked briefly before. Um, and I think like packaging like your knowledge and experience into like a digestible product that they can consume and take action
Mm.
with. I think that's very important than just creating a random, piece of content, for example.
Yeah.
Um, because you're gonna want to make sure, one, you're not wasting your efforts and energy into doing anything. Number two, you're also essentially making sure that you're helping the people that you want to help. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's business. You're gonna want to make sure you're putting money into your pocket and into your business.
Mm.
And yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing. Because at first, like I was more of like, well, I want to do this, and then later on, like you build the product or like the service package, and then nobody buys it, and like you start
Mhm.
thinking, what am I doing wrong? Hey, guess
Right.
what? You just suck at selling, you know, and you suck at
Yeah.
selling because you're not focused on the customer. You're
Mm.
focused on what you think the customer wants instead of focusing on what they actually want. So
Mm.
yeah, I think that's the
Okay.
biggest one.
Nice. So if you were to let's say you want to start a whole new business from scratch in this current environment. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, like with AI and things like that. But like, what would you recommend a brand new entrepreneur that has like, okay, I have an idea for a business. What would you recommend is like the first step for a military? Like, I guess it doesn't have to be military entrepreneur, but like, in your situation, you were a military entrepreneur. So like, what would you recommend to the military community?
Um, do you want to like pick some kind of like industry or niche so we can have something
Um,
that's like tangible?
let's say if you're a photographer, you're a spouse or a military veteran or military member, and you want to start a photography side business.
Okay. This is actually funny because I was talking to a retired senior chief, and she's not exactly taking photos, but she has a
Mm-hmm.
photo booth rental business.
Okay.
And we were just talking. We did like a deep dive of like kind of like what's the bottlenecks with her business and stuff like that. So I think um one, photography, that's a really good niche to focus on and like talk about because it's very tangible, you know, because like
Mm,
you take pictures, you post it, and that's already something that the customers can see, feel, or think about, you know, or like
yeah.
even talk about. So it's very tangible in the sense that like if you're starting out, I would, let's say you don't have any clients, but you're really good at taking photos already. You know, like a lot of people are actually wanting your time, but they're not putting money in your pocket, right? So I think you can use that time and your skills into doing something like, hey, look, I'm building up my portfolio, um, actually launching a website, but I want to be able to kind of like if I do this for you, and then we can arrange something where either one, you pay me for my skills, my expertise, and my
Mhm.
services, or
Yeah.
two, um, it can be free. It will be free, but you give me testimonials, and I will show
Mm,
you the rough drafts of the pictures, and like I'm gonna use some of the pictures for my content, you know, so you can do something like that. That way, you know, like when you hunt for like your next client, or like you're trying to secure a bigger kind of like event or what have you, then guess what, you already have a testimonial, and you already have a case study that you can showcase to those people. Because like especially nowadays, you know, like it's hard to land any kind of clients if you don't have any proof about your craft.
yeah. Okay. Well, for all of you aspiring entrepreneurs, there's your little bit of advice from a successful entrepreneur. So we got a few more minutes left. Want to they say thanks for Terry, host of the Tracer Rounds podcast, for saying um, commenting great conversation information. And yeah, so thanks for the support. I appreciate that. Um, let's see what else we got. Grizz, are we running low on time?
You got about 45 seconds before your before the hour's up. So I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, you got 30 seconds, RJ. What do you got?
um, I don't know, like I guess like helping and like giving back to the community. If they're into like wanting to like start their business and whatnot, we offer a free digital marketing and branding advice. Um, and you've been a witness to that. I don't know if that was useful to you when we did
Yeah.
our call, but we do the same thing for other businesses. It's not a pitch fest essentially. We actually
Yeah.
provide you value. That way you get actionable tips. And like for example, you actually know how to like make websites and whatnot. You can already implement that, because to me it's not about getting the money, but like building a long-term relationship with us. So um yeah, like if you have if anybody's listening out there and like you're into like entrepreneurship, just go to our website. It's www.enzonmedia.com.
Nice. Way to land the plane. All right, we did good. I really appreciate RJ for coming on, and Big Grizz rocking the ones and twos in the background. Yeah, check out RJ's website, and if you're interested in services, hit him up. That's pretty much the show for the evening. Thank you for joining. Thank you for participating, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next stream.
Thank you.
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to talk about something close to my heart. Military Broadcast Radio is doing incredible work to support our veterans and bring their voices to the world. They rely on your generous donations and your dedicated volunteer hours to make it happen. I encourage you to consider supporting NBR in any way, form that you can. Use this QR code that's attached to the picture, or you can go to our website at mbradio.us. That's Mike Bravo Radio.us to learn more about how you can donate